This is my 12.4 nutrition plan by Harry Baker. So firstly, looking at the case study. So I'm a sports nutritionist working for the England Institute of Sport, and they have invited myself to a sports nutrition summit to share my ideas on how to periodise a sports nutrition diet plan for a selected athlete in order to peak for the competition in 2 weeks' time. So I'm going to share my thoughts, ideas, and strategies to improve performance. So I've done my 2 week plan on Excel, which can be opened separately, and look through while I'm justifying what I've done. And at the bottom of each day is a summary of the day and what I've included. So next, looking at the athlete profile of what I did the 2 week plan for. So they are a fencer, they're male, they're 70 kilograms, 180 centimeters, sorry. They're 23 years old and their BMR is 1768.6, and this is calculated by putting the correct data into the formula like I've done below, and that gives their BMR and what they should be taking per day. So their METs. So here you can see the different types of training a fencer would be doing. You can also see the METs for the training and the amount of time they'll be training for. This helps when designing a dietary program, as we can see the amount of calories they need for each training session, which will be added onto their daily BMR to make sure they're maintaining good weight leading up to the competition in 2 weeks. You can also see at the bottom is the METs calculation, where I plugged in all the data above to calculate the METs value for my specific athlete. So firstly, just looking at the first one, so a circuit training, so the overall METs is 8 METs for that session. I've done it for 20 minutes, and putting that in the calculation below gives it that it's 196 METs for him for that amount of time. So next, the overview of my diet plan. So the image here is just one picture of one day that I've just inserted. So firstly, looking at the training I've given him over the 2 week period, you can see that I have calculated the METs daily, as each day is different, and I have different training requirements. There's different training requirements for each day. Therefore, that's why I didn't calculate one overall value and divide it for each day. I've done it separately for each day. The types of training I've included were on the previous slides, like weights and ply, recovery sessions, fencing sessions themselves, because I feel fencers need to be very agile and elastic and very good at elastic movement. So looking at day 1, for example, he has quite a heavy day, as there are 3 types of training were included. Therefore, adding all the METs onto his daily BMR, the total was 3,053. Which the food requirements met. Comparing this to the second day, which was recovery day and only included a recovery session, the daily BMR was only 2,180. Therefore, the daily requirements are different for each day, and I've given different volumes and quantities of training. So secondly, looking at an overview of the food I've given him, I've given him meals at the same time throughout the plan each day, and this will enable a solid eating routine that his body will get used to. Also, the core of each meal is usually the same, but with different additions to offer variety of food and colours. For example, for breakfast he has porridge every day, as this is high in carbs for the day ahead, but also because it's something that he likes and we know he will eat. However, I changed the fruit daily to offer some variation in the meal so he doesn't get bored of eating the same food. Also, I've given him each meal around 2 hours before a training session or competition, because I feel like he won't be too full. However, he would have enough energy to perform maximally and reduce the chance of feeling dizzy or faint. Also, 2 days before the competition, I've completely stopped all training and increased the amount of calories he is eating in them days, which I'll discuss further in my next slides. So overall, an overview of my plan is that each day's overall calories equals the amount of calories he needs for each task, plus or minus 15%. Therefore, if he sticks and maintains this plan I've given him, he'll maintain good weight. So next, the diet plan nutrition. So my diet plan consists of a multifaceted range of foods and drinks, which all have their own functions, whether they have the minerals and vitamins needed for his event or simply to give him proteins, carbs or fats. So for example, on day 6 I've made it very high in calcium and vitamin A, as this will help him with his muscle contractions and the heart and muscles needed to function properly. Therefore, he'll be able to last the whole fencing game, exerting powerful force throughout, and vitamin A will help him when fighting as it acts as an antitoxin and reduces inflammation when fencing, which means he won't be uncomfortable with swelling or other injuries. Also in day 7, I've given him lots of nuts, which are very high in iron, which will help to create red blood cells and energy ready for the competition, so he will be at his maximal performance. Also in day 7, I've chosen to give him a hypertonic drink at the start of the comp, as this will give him an immediate sugar spike before, to give him the best chance to win, and then a protein shake after to help repair and create new cells. I added a turkey leg on day 9, as you can see if you open my thing, my Excel file, as this includes lots of protein and calories, as this is in the competition week. This is where we need to start building and sustaining muscle and provide mechanical and structural support to the bones and skin. Also in day 10, I've decided to give him coconut water before training, because this is very effective as it's very high in amounts of sodium, which draws and stores water into the muscles, which he'll need, as he will lose lots of water during training or competition, as they wear lots of heavy kit, meaning he'll sweat lots into the kit. So from day 12 to 14, I've designed a carb loading couple of days as and increase the amount of antitoxins to boost the immune system and white blood cells to prevent him getting ill, which would not be good this close to the championship at the end of the 2 weeks. So this will include increasing zinc, selenium, vitamin E, for example, pumpkin seeds in day 12. I've chosen this strategy of carbohydrate loading because it's when carbohydrates are converted into glycogen and stored as an energy source for the muscles. So this would be beneficial as we don't know how long the fencing match will last for. Therefore, if it went on for a long time, this process will enable a slow release of carbs throughout the competition, meaning he won't run out of energy as fast, and that could potentially, if he did, he could potentially lose. Also, it will enhance the amount of stored carbohydrates in his muscles, and it can allow him to exercise for longer periods of time without fatiguing. Therefore, this is very important, not only to perform maximally during the competition, but afterwards, because he'll be able to train harder for longer periods of time in the next following days, which will increase his overall performance. However, I also need to keep the potential side effects into mind, which are muscle stiffness, chest pains, depression, and feeling lethargic. So therefore, throughout the plan, the main nutrients he needs are given, like potassium, as this helps to improve nerve function, impulses, and muscular contractions. So he will be able to be nimble when he's performing. Also calcium, as this helps muscular contractions to keep the bones strong, which is essential for a fencer, as they're always impacting on the ground hard and frequently and getting hit with the sword. Therefore, he needs to be needs strong bones to enable a hard impact without injuries. And food that I've included that are high in calcium is like milk, cheese, protein shakes. Also, other minerals that I feel are essential are magnesium and potassium, as they help to replenish lost fluids, which is very important in fencing, as lots are lost. They also reduce cramping, muscle tightness, which improves muscle circulation, meaning he'll recover quicker and not feel so fatigued. An example of this in my plan is a pomegranate, which is very high in potassium, but also gives a liquid whilst you eat it, so it's hydrating you, which is very beneficial. But most importantly, it gives you a quick boost of energy and carbs, which is what is needed for him when he is lacking energy. So specifically looking at the competition day, so day 14, I've given him the same breakfast as normal, so it keeps things like best as normal as possible for the day. I've decided to give him quite a large lunch 3 hours before to ensure that he has enough stored energy to last the entire competition at high level. Also, just before, I've given him a pomegranate and a Lucozade Sport to immediately boost his energy levels ready to perform. Lastly, this could be beneficial to get some early points while the opponent isn't getting ready. So I've given him a protein shake after to build and repair muscle fibers that were damaged during the competition. So as I previously said, I decided to give him a meal around 2 hours before a training session, which will mean he is still digesting the food while performing, but is using it. I feel that this is okay because I have done it throughout the 2 weeks. Therefore, his body will be able to cope with the demands as his body will be used to it. So, for example, on day 8, I planned lunch at 12 and then trainings at 2, which gives him a 2 hour period to digest the food. On certain days where I feel it's appropriate, I've given him a Lucozade Sport just before the activity, as this will give him the boost for the training session. So, for example, on day 7, he has around 2 hours training session. Therefore, I gave him a Lucozade Sport to help like spike in energy. During a session, I haven't given him any nutrition because I feel what I provided before and after is enough to get him through the session without eating during it. Also, if I was going to introduce this, then I would have had to be near the start of the plan so his body can adapt to it, which I hadn't done, so I'm not going to do that. Post-workout, he will also have another meal in the 2 hour period after, whether it's lunch or dinner, depending on the time of the training. So, for example, day 9, he has a circuit session, and 30 minutes after he has lunch, and an hour after he has another session. Therefore, I feel like the spread of meals is nicely spread out throughout the day, especially pre and post workouts. So next, looking at the hydration, I feel like I provided a diet plan that keeps the athlete hydrated at all times. I feel like I've given him a simple range of drinks, and this won't confuse him about what he is meant to be drinking. I have mainly included water, tea, orange juice, coconut water, Lucozade, and a protein shake. So on average, I've added around 4 litres of water per day, which can be simply modified if this is too much or too little for the athlete. Looking at pre-workout and during hydration, I've mainly planned Lucozade sport drinks, like on day 7 and 14, as this isotonic drink quickly replaces fluids lost through sweating and supplies a boost of carbohydrates, giving him the lift and training he needs. Also, pre-workout on some days, like day 10, I've given him coconut water, as this is said, as I said before, it draws the water during the training session. Post-workout hydration mainly includes a protein shake, which I've included different flavors for variety. These shakes are very important because protein is used to produce for production of muscles and also used to manufacture hormones, enzymes, cellular messages, and the immune system components. Therefore, for a fencer, it's very important. Otherwise, his body can't put together the structure that makes up the cells, tissues, and organs.